What's going on? This is Quamon Fowler coming to you, and this is the Jazz Improvisation for Sax Players webinar. And just want to thank you for taking the time to devote some attention to me as I share with you just some building blocks that you can use to make your sound better on saxophone, as well as some how to. I'm gonna show you how to better approach improvisation, and how you can approach better playing over changes, and that's what I'm gonna do in this particular presentation. Okay, so first of all, my name is Quamon Fowler. I am the founder of Texas Tenor Music Academy. And just to tell you a little bit about what I've done over the years, I've released 6 CDs. I have also, accomplished some notable things when it comes to playing the saxophone, jazz, and one of the notable things is, placing third in the Thelonious Monk International Jazz Saxophone competition. That was like in 2008. And so, that's just to show that I've been doing this for a while, and I like jazz. I like the challenge that it presented. When I first started learning it, and I like the how it's intellectually stimulating in terms of learning how to play over chord changes, and even I like listening to interesting lines, that go over certain changes and stuff like that. All of those things is what really intrigued me to get into jazz and to pursue a career as not only a performer but also an educator. So my thing is, I always like to share what I learn with people, and you have that opportunity here in this particular webinar to learn some basics along with some more advanced things, so that it can help you better with your approach to playing jazz. Okay, so I have some tips, some bullet points that I'm going to address, and what you can do is pull up a tab, another tab where you can type in some notes, or write down something, get you a notebook, and get some things, get something to where you can jot some things down. And I'm going to go over some stuff. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you about something, a cool way that you can connect with me and other people who are part of Texas Tenor Music Academy. And we can share together and keep each other inspired and accountable so that we can hit our musical goals. Okay, so I'll tell you about that at the end. All right, so now first thing I want to do is talk about sound. Now, before we get into talking about what to do, I'm gonna just tell you about my setup. So here on the tenor, my setup here, first of all, the mouthpiece is a vintage Auto-Link, and it's a size 7. And this right here is a Saxotone Super Stack ligature. This ligature I actually sell from my website, jazzwebshed.com, and you can check that out. It's just a 3-ring wooden ligature, and it just slides right on the mouthpiece and reed. Okay, and the reed I play is Van Duren Java Reds. So it's a Van Duren Java Red reed, and I like those reeds. It responds the way I want, and it sounds good. Now, just to talk a little bit, before I go into talking about my embouchure, this horn is a Tenor Madness horn. And so it's the kind of dark lacquered or dark bronze tenor saxophone. And the neck is burnt nickel silver. This neck did not originally come with this instrument, but Randy, the founder of Tenor Madness, he likes to get different necks, and so this one was the one that spoke the best for me on this particular setup here. Okay, and so, but yeah, so this is my setup. You want to definitely try some different things. If you like what I'm going for, this will definitely be a nice setup for you to get a hard rubber mouthpiece and find a good reed size. And, one of the things you want to think about when it comes to the size, the chamber of the mouthpiece and what reed to get, it's usually the lower the number on the chamber size or the lower the tip opening on the mouthpiece, it's usually the higher the stiffness of the reed. So a lot of times people will play on a 9-star or something like that, and then their reed will be a 2 or 1.5, So I don't even know if I've seen a 1.5 or 1. I usually see 2 and 3 and even 4.5. Usually the harder the reed, then the lower the facing opening on the mouthpiece. So, if you got a 5-star, you probably got a 4 reed or 4.5. It just depends on what's comfortable for you. Everybody's muscles and setup is different, But for me, I like the 7-star with the 3 reed strength. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do, I play what you call double cushion, double lip embouchure. And basically, that's where I put my teeth, actually my lip over my top teeth. And, of course, the bottom is covered. And so what you do is, for guys, it's right here below my mustache or right over the rim of your lip. That's where you put your teeth. So you fold it over and make sure you seal the corners of your mouth around the mouthpiece and give it a go. And what that does, if you think about it, just the mechanics of it, when you play double lip, you're putting your lip on top of the hard rubber if you have a hard rubber mouthpiece, and then we already got a wooden ligature, and so you got your skin, your flesh on top of the mouthpiece, and so when I blow, it has a nice warm sound, and that's what I was going for. And that's the reason why I started playing double cushion back in college. Now, when you play the bottom of the horn, you can play full. You can play full volume, or you can do what we call a subtone. So I'm gonna play low C, and that's the full volume. And if I do subtone, it would be like this. So the subtone takes some of the buzz off. It makes it more rounder and more airy sounding. So it's kind of like an oval type of shape that you have to make with your mouth, or even think about blowing warm air on a mirror or something, So that's how you would make that subtone sound. So work with that. You definitely want to work with long tones, and long tones is just that. You're just going to play a tone for a long time, and the principle or the value that you get from that is you're working on your muscles and you're feeling the vibration of where you need to be when you're playing a low note, because you have to have the right amount of air going into the mouthpiece, into the horn, and also you have to keep your muscles up here tight, and you want to make sure you have it consistent throughout until you run out of gas, And I am doing full volume with that. So that's a good thing to do, is work on playing low, long tones, and use the bottom notes, from the low B flat, B, C, C sharp, those notes, because they are the notes that take the most air to blow. So you definitely want to work with that, work with those. Okay, so that's long tones. And I talked to you about the double lip embouchure. It might take some time, a little bit, for you to get used to what it feels like. But the more you do it, it'll make your sound really smooth. Let me just show you, demonstrate what the difference in the sound is. So here's with my teeth on top. Okay. Now here's with my lip on top. So one more time with teeth on top. Okay, here's with my lip on top, double lip. So it takes some of the edge off. Of course, when you have your teeth on top against the hard rubber, you got more of an edgy type of resonation or resonance, So it's a buzzy type of thing. When your teeth are on top of the hard rubber mouthpiece, you'll get that vibration just because of the texture of our teeth. But when you put your lip over your teeth, you're covering it with this soft part of your lip, it smooths it out. It won't be as edgy, it'll be a lot more smoother and warmer. So that's the double lip embouchure. Now, so you want to practice on long tones. You want to practice and really see what it feels like to be able, and what is required for you to be able to get that nice fat sound, and for that to be consistent without having a lot of fluctuation in your sound, because your muscles are moving and changing. So work on long tones, and that'll really hook your sound up. Okay, now we're going to move on to the fun stuff. Improvisation. All right, so with improvisation, one of the things that you have to do, you cannot skip over this. I know we learned it when we first start playing our instrument, and that's scales. And I'm specifically going to deal with major scales, okay? Just the major scale for now, and I want to give you something to practice, a way to practice these scales. So when I first started on the saxophone, somebody, I forget who it was, but they told me to practice my scales a certain way, and I'm trying to pull up my metronome. One of the things I did, I always had a metronome that I practiced with, and it was a way to keep me in line. If you think about the metronome, it's like a grid, and when you have a certain pulse that's keeping you contained, then that's a way that you can measure. That's a way that you can measure your progress, because when you can practice executing scales at a certain at beats per minute at a certain tempo, then you know where you are, because it's a few different things that you're juggling when you're playing scales. You know, you're exercising your fingers, you're exercising your embouchure, you're exercising your articulation, you're blowing, so your airstream is going. And so when you practice scales like this, it'll really help you. And so the way that I do it, and the way that I would like for you to practice this, let me see. I'm going to put this at 70. That's at 70, and I'm going to play it as 16th notes. So that's the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to go up, play the major scales, and I'm going to go up from 1 to 9, come back down to 2, and when I play the next scale up a half step, I'm going to land on 1, which is up a half step. So that means if I'm going to be on, let's see, on this is a tenor, I'm going to start on D, and that'll be C concert. So if we say, so I went from C concert up to D, came down, and I landed on C sharp. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for me on tenor, I'm gonna start on C. So that'll be a B flat concert. And so if you're alto, you know, just start on your C, because you know, I just want you to play the range from the bottom up. You know, you can start on the low B flat if you want to, but I'm just gonna start on C. But here's what you do. Okay, so I did all 12 keys playing the major scales where I went up to the 9, came back to the 2, and then started on the 1 that was up a half step. You want to use the metronome and play those scales like that. And when you can do it and feel comfortable, that's when you scoot it up from whatever metronome marking you do it at to increase the tempo. So I was at 70, so I can increase it to 80, you know. And that's what you would do to get those scales under your fingers. And like I said, it'll help your dexterity. One of the things you might have heard when I was doing that, I was circular breathing. Now, I don't have time to go into circular breathing in this particular presentation, but I will cover that in a video in another opportunity. But what you want to do is have that consistency by playing against a metronome, so you're not stopping. Right when you get ready to go to the next key, if you have to breathe, or when you know, see if you're not circular breathing, go ahead and breathe, but you want to still stay on the beat. If you miss that note, skip it, still finger the note, but keep on going, you know, and pick up wherever you can, or take a breath right before you go to the next key, and that'll help you just to be consistent in your flow. All right. So when you play those scales, you know, playing the major scales is one thing, and the next thing you need to do is work on the arpeggios. So the arpeggios, you got 1, 3, 5, and then you can also play 1, 3, 5, 8. So. So that's 1, 3, 5, just the major arpeggios, just going up half steps. And you can do them going ascending and descending. So, I mean. So you can practice your arpeggios with the metronome as well. You want to work on playing 1 3 5 8. You know, work on stuff like that. Put that metronome on there. So let's look here. And I'm gonna put it on 80. So you can practice. And if you want to start the low end of the horn, you can, the B flat. And I'm just going up on one, and then coming down on the next one that's up a half step. Or you can just do it straight up. Okay, you could go. You know, you can do that. You can even what do you say? Go up, descending. So like. So let me do this because I was missing some notes. I need to take a deep breath. You know, so you can work with those arpeggios, both ascending and descending, and those are good things to do. Now, I'm giving you building blocks because as you continue to progress from playing the scales to playing the arpeggios, then you're ready to move on to the modes. Now, the modes will help you understand how to play through chord changes, because usually when you look at approaching playing over a particular chord change, you can look at different degrees of that particular chord and get other ways to approach that. So for instance, I'm just giving you a glimpse of where we're going. So if it's C minor, you know, in that C minor, of course, the root position is C, E flat, G, B flat. But also, if I started on the third, that's E flat, G, B flat, D, okay? And that's E flat major. So if I started on the fifth, that's G minor. That's G minor 7. And if I start on the 7, the flat 7, that's B flat major. So you can actually play off of each degree to outline that change. So we'll get to that later. But let's go back to grab the modes, right? So we played through all of the major scales. Now we're going to look at playing through the modes. And usually, you probably heard of the modes. They have them named as Greek names. I mean, you know, you have the Ionian, which is the first degree. The second degree is Dorian. The third degree is Phrygian. The fourth degree is Lydian. The fifth degree is Mixolydian. The sixth degree is Aeolian. And then Locrian is the seventh degree. And so those are the Greek names for them. But really, you don't have to worry about the names, not as much as just understanding the quality of each chord, you know. So let's look. I'm going to play through the different modes. I'm going to stay in B flat concert, so it's C on the tenor here. And so same principle. You want to work with your metronome just so it can keep you consistent. All right. So I'm going to keep it at 80. So I played through all of the modes there. And so now, not only can you play the scales through the modes, or you can also play the arpeggios. So when we look at playing the arpeggios, we can go 1, 3, 5. Okay, so those are the arpeggios as we move, throughout the modes of the major scale. Now, you have 1, 3, 5, 7 that you can add, which is now, mind you, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing what? It's actually triplet. So it's actually that's the triplet, but it's 4 against or 3 against 4. You know, 3 against 2. I guess you could say. If I do 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do the arpeggio with the 7th in there, or you can just even it out and just do it like this. Now, you always want to slow it down and do it according to what's comfortable for you. And you would take that and apply it in the different keys. One of the things you want to do is focus on one key. So I'm focusing on C. I'm playing it over and over. You know, you can play the triads, you can play the 7th chord arpeggios, and play through the modes, the scales throughout the different modes, and just do it all in one key, and then speed it up a little bit and do it some more in that one key until you get to the point where it feels really natural for you and comfortable before you would move on to the next key. So that's a really good thing to do. All right, so now I told you about the building blocks. Now we're ready to look at the 2-5-1. The 2-5-1 is a common progression that you would hear in jazz standards. So when I came up, I learned 2-5-1 licks, and I learned 2-5-1 licks in different keys and stuff like that. So if you look at a song like On Green Dolphin Street by Miles Davis, for instance, you got the first chord is C major 7 to a C minor 7, then you got D7 to a D flat 7, then C major 7. Now here's the 2-5. That's the 2-5. That's the 2-5-1. Now, and then you have another 2-5 in E flat, and then you got a. So I'm just talking about the movement, the 2-5-1, going into the bridge. Then we're gonna go to the minor third away to that E flat, and we have a 2-5. Then a 2-5 back to the 1. You know. So that particular song, for instance, that's just one of many. I mean, there's a lot of songs that have 2-5-1s in it. You know. Okay. That's Joy Spring. Ba-doo-bee, ba-doo-doo-da-dip. Ba-doo-bee, ba-doo-waddle-da, ba-doo-lee-da-da-da. Ba-ba-doo-la-lee-da. Ba-doo-bee. So it's 2-5-1s all over the place. They're just going in different keys. So what we used to do is learn 2-5-1 licks. But before I give you some 2-5-1 licks, let's first apply those arpeggios to the 2-5. So we're going to do a 2-5. We're going to do a 2-5-1 in C major. So here we go. So that's D minor 7, and then G7, all right, and then C major 7. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's a 2-5-1. So whenever I would learn a new song, a new jazz standard, I would always play through the chord changes, and I would outline them like this. So I was playing through on Green Dolphin Street. So when you learn a new song, learn the melody, learn what the chord changes are, outline them on the saxophone so that you can get them under your fingers, okay? Now, once you know the arpeggios and you can go through them like that, here's another thing that you can do. 1, 3, 5, 7 is what I gave you, but you can also do 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, this is good because this helps you with understanding the different degrees that you can play off of the chord. So check it out. Instead of looking at D like it's the root, I'm going to look at the third. And so that'll give me 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay? And so I'm playing from the D, from the F on D minor, and then when I get to the G, I'm going to play from the B concert. Okay, so here I go. Okay, so that's it. So that's the 2-5-1 that I'm playing the arpeggios off of the third. And of course, you can do this on the 5th, you can do it on the 7th as well. But for now, in this particular presentation, I'm just going to focus on from the 1st degree and the 3rd degree, okay? Now, this brings us to the enclosures. Now, I've done some lessons on the enclosures, and I have more extensive explanation inside of Texas Tenor Music Academy, where you can get the sheet music for some of the enclosures that I'm going to tell you about now. Now, enclosures is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to enclose a particular note. Now, like I said, the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, and even sometimes the 9, you can actually play a line that encloses that particular note. So we're going to stay in the key of the 2-5-1 and C, and we'll look at the 2 chord, which is D minor, and I have what you call the zigzag enclosure, and that's where you just kind of zigzag before you land on the actual note. So D is the 1, then we're going to go, we're going to start a whole step up, and I'm going to do this line. 1 and 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 and 1. It usually is 3 and 4 and 1. That's the 1. Here's a zigzag on the 3rd, the minor 3rd. Okay, here's a zigzag on the 5th. Okay, and here's a zigzag on the flat 7. Okay, so one more time. Now, that's an enclosure. I call it the zigzag enclosure. All right, now what we're going to do is add something to that. So we're going to just say, so that's like something that just kind of easily flows off of my fingers. You might have heard that one before. You know, and all I did is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Now let's go to the 3rd. So that just kind of felt natural. So all I did, so I go That's just outlining F major, or yeah, F major. 1, 2, 3, 5. But I say, and right there, that's just what is that? That's the first inversion of a G major. That's 3, 5, 1. If that G is the 1, but that's over the D minor. So I'm playing that against the D minor, or you can actually look at it like it's over the 5 chord, which is G7. So look at that when I put the G7 in there. You know. So that's all for the third. And here's the fifth. So that one is just like the 1. But I'm just from the 5th degree. So I'm just going, you know. So that's A minor. That's A minor actually played over the D minor, the D. So that's a line that you can add to the enclosure. Here's the 7th degree, the flat 7. That's another one. Boo dee dee doo dee. So what did I do? 7, 5, 3, 1. And I just landed on the 7th. So check it out. Be da dee do be. So be da dee do be. So these are all lines that I attached to the enclosure. So one more time. Okay, so that particular enclosure is called the zigzag. Here's the roll. Now the roll enclosure actually starts a whole step below the actual note. And then I kind of roll up and then come into it. So we go a whole step below, go up a half step, and then go up a minor third, then come down a half step, one more half step, till we land on that note that we're enclosing. You know, and so you can actually add the lines to that one. So okay, so the zigzag. Okay. The roll. There we go. I went outside of the key when I played that F sharp concert. But those are the enclosures, right? And I mean, there's more types of enclosures. I mean, you got you know, that's an enclosure. You also have you got a shorter enclosure. You know, so there's different type of enclosures that you can play that will give you launching pads, I guess you could say, into your lines, into the licks or phrases that you have. And check this out. All of this is going over one chord. This is just over the D minor, the D minor 7. And of course, some of these things you can use the same thing over G7, you know, and also the F major. So here's the deal. If we're going to play this stuff from 1 degree, we can play the same stuff off of the 3rd degree, off of the 5th degree, off of the 7th degree. And so that's why it's important for you to learn your scales, for you to learn your arpeggios, and learn the modes, because once you get into playing chord changes, you can then make these connections to what's actually going on, because you always want to have a system or some type of point of reference when you're hearing lines. When you hear somebody play something, you want to make sure that you can identify what they're playing over that chord and what position they're coming from. So that's great for you to learn this stuff. Okay, so now I got a question of who do you listen to? So for me, when I first got started with jazz, I listened to people like Joshua Redman. He was one that I got turned on to, and from listening to Joshua Redman, I got turned on to Sonny Rollins. I checked out Sonny Rollins. I checked out Sonny Stitt. I listened to Cannonball Adderley, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Ornette Cobb, Stanley Turrentine, Johnny Griffin. All of these musicians, these tenor players or alto players, I like specific things about them. Now, everybody's going to have different aspects of people's playing that they're going to like. You're going to like different aspects of people playing. And so what you want to do is just jot it down. What do you like about Cannonball? So for me, I love Cannonball's articulation. So I would purposely learn his lines and learn his stuff to try and articulate like that. I like Sonny Rollins' rhythm. So I would learn his lines and stuff so I could get that rhythm incorporated into my playing. I learned Stanley Turrentine's stuff because I liked his soul. He was soulful when he played stuff. I learned Johnny Griffin's stuff because of his speed. I liked his speed. So just depends on what you're going for. And this is all under the category of jazz, straight ahead jazz. But you also can look at playing stuff. Well, actually, you can also look at the genre like, let's see, smooth jazz, for instance. So if it's Gerald Albright or if it's Kirk Whalum, you might like the soul of Kirk Whalum. You might like the control of Gerald Albright. So you might pull some things, from those different players based on their strength. So it's going to be different. Whatever you like, whatever the genre, whatever the artist, just keep track of, what you like about them and what you're going to learn from them. And whatever you learn, you want to try and learn it in all 12 keys. So transpose it, put it in different keys so that you can be able to execute it freely as it becomes a part of your own vocabulary. Okay? Okay, now here is the gift that I wanted to share with you from watching this presentation. This is Texas Tenor Music Academy. This is my new website where I am housing all of my media, from the performances with me and my band to the Jazz Webshed content, where I focus on educating jazz musicians or independent musicians in the areas of jazz improvisation, music, marketing, and also music business. And also EWI webinar. The EWI webinars are here, where I've done some videos with Bernie Kennerson where we were going over how to set up the EWI and get it to work the way that feels comfortable for you. We have that here in addition to master classes and other webinars and things that I would record, not only of me, but also of my friends. All of that is here at Texas Tenor Music Academy. So what I wanted to show you, once you get on the page, you can click on start your free trial, and it'll take you to the different options here to subscribe to. Now, what I have for you is underneath the Texas Tenor Music Academy All Access Pass. So when you click on that one, you will get the option over here. When you look to the right, you can put in a coupon code, and the coupon code is WEBINAR 617. And once you submit this code, it'll give you 10% off of your membership. So it'll knock off 10%, so you'll be able to subscribe for under $30. And yeah, so this is Texas Tenor Music Academy. And once you become a member, I will also send you a link to the private Facebook group. And this is where you'll be able to interact with myself and also other members of Texas Tenor Music Academy. And this is a place where we can share ideas. I can see what you're working on. You can see what I'm working on. We will also have some private meetings, private groups, and webinars just for you. And this is a way I can help you. We can help each other stay accountable so that we can continue to make progress on our instruments and really help each other overcome the obstacles that we would have to stand in front of us. So I look forward to you becoming a member of Texas Tenor Music Academy. I'm going to be updating the site, weekly. So make sure you stay tuned and connected with me. If you have any questions and would like to reach me, you can by email. If you send your email to texas10er@gmail.com. So go ahead and go to Texas Tenor Music Academy and click on Start Your Free Trial Today. Click on the Texas Tenor Music option, the Texas Tenor Music All Access Pass option, and go ahead and enter this code, Webinar 617, and you'll be able to join and have access to all of the site and the content that is available. Okay, so that's it for now, and I look forward to hooking up with you. All right, peace.